Out here.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 179 of Retro Fandango. I'm buried on Mars, aka Kevin. I'm here with my pal Richard, aka
Oh,
at the Rambox.
yeah,
Ready to go. Happy to be here.
ready to go. I
Not happy
forgot
to
all
be here.
about it
You did
until
not. You
I
did not.
did. I forgot until about a day and a half ago, and I was like, "Oh, that's this weekend."
A day and a half. That's plenty of time to remember.
But normally it would be like, "Oh, it's only 3 more days. Oh, it's
Mm.
3 more days." This every 2 weeks is throwing me off, and it's given me flashbacks. I was getting that feeling like when I was a kid of, "Oh, this is the weekend. Dad's coming." So I'm waiting for you to pull up in a Camaro and take me out to Burger King.
Oh, I wish. I wouldn't take you to Burger King, but I would definitely pull up in a Camaro. That'd be nice.
That might be fuzzy memories. My dad
Mm.
had some form of red sports car. It may not have been anything too fancy, but I kind of swear it had the Camaros that had like the black across the back window. It was like the
Mm-hmm.
slats. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, both the Camaros and the Trans Ams had those,
Oh, okay. I got to
depending
look at
on.
some pictures. I wonder if they'll jog my memory.
Well, they were very similar models. They were actually like the same model there for a while. Depending, it was just the motor inside that was different. The
Hmm.
Trans Am had a Pontiac or an Oldsmobile, and the Camaros had Chevy motors in them.
I believe you.
Get some house cleaning out of the way before we continue on with this thrilling discussion. Quick Save Club might be happening, might not be. I don't know. I went
Mhm.
directly to the source and I got a big shrug as an answer. So that's what's going on over there. Cartridge Club is still playing Zelda the Wind Waker for another few more days. Go check that out. I meant to go check it out myself, but I just can't bring myself to hook up that Wii U. That's a big hurdle for
I
me to
thought
get
you
over.
did the GameCube emulator, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. I could do that there. That's true.
That's
But I
only a
have
couple
a
clicks.
I have a game save on the Wii U. I don't think I played too much of it, but it would save me from having to do all that opening stages again. At least like the first level in or something like that. So
The hassle of playing a game.
yes. And RFJet is playing Transistor, Transistor, and I did play a little bit of it on the PC, and it seems pretty good. It's definitely got some strategy RPG elements to it, which I know those guys are big on over there. So I can see those guys really liking the game. That's it. That's a house cleaning.
That's what's going on in the rest of the world.
Yeah. Tonight I'll be on Bill's show, the Vinyl Connection show, and I got some new stuff to show.
Hmm.
I don't know what some of the other people are going to show on that because as far as I know, they're out of records. They have nothing left.
Ooh.
So that's it. That's it. That's all's going on.
I believe you because I've still been staying away from Twitter for the most part. I
Yeah.
figure I'd take like a kind of like a solid month of me time. I poke
Mm-hmm.
in there like a little bit here and there,
Yeah.
but I'm doing the Rick Moranis thing when he kind of like left Hollywood and he
Yeah.
realized I don't miss it that much.
In 30 years, Ryan Reynolds will bring you back in a commercial, and oh, I
Maybe.
remember that guy. I remember that guy.
What am I doing here?
I've cut down on my Twitter quite a bit as well. I still check it daily though, at least for the messages and stuff. But yeah. Well, it was
I,
funny.
I'll just wait till I'm in the mood, and I'll go through and I'll look some things, make a comment, but
Yeah.
I don't need to on a daily basis see everybody's, I made a pumpkin pie or something like that.
Well, the thing with social media, I find is like it's a great thing. Like if you got like a good group of people, and for the most part, we do over there on Twitter. But I'm finding more and more that the whole thing is just designed like it wants to keep you engaged, right? Like that's the whole point is that you're supposed to be on there. And what's the best way to keep people engaged is to get them angry about things, get them angry so they'll lock on there. And that seems to be what it's all about. Is just getting you angry about something,
Yeah, that is true because I have felt a little more chilled out since I've been off there.
Yeah.
And it's not like I get angry on Twitter, but you get fake angry. You see somebody's opinion on a movie or a game or something, and you got to put your 2 cents in, like, oh, well, I would have went with the blue one, and, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And then, you just do the exchange of, I really don't care about this that much.
I've been trying my best to avoid that for the most part. I mean, it's funny. Like even the other day, I'm not going to name names. It's not a big deal if they're hearing this or anything like this. Not a big deal. But like, I just made a comment about, they were talking about some movies in their podcast, and I made a comment just meaning to add to the conversation, because they were talking about certain things that happened in the movie, and took it as like I disagreed with them about something. And it's just funny how like I didn't mean it as a disagreement, like I disagree with your opinion or anything like that. I was just kind of adding to the conversation. And I don't know if it's how I word things or if it's just how people read me all the time, but I'm trying to do better at like making sure that like, no, I'm not trying to be confrontational about anything. I'm just, you guys mentioned something and I just thought I'd add to it.
I get it. Stop yelling at me.
Yeah, see? Anyways, this all is a nice segue into the first thing I have on our list. And that is, it's funny because I've been actually listening to more podcasts because I've been trying to go out for more walks and that as I cut down on other stupid things like social media and that. And I on the weekends, I've been getting up early and just like right as soon as I get up, I go out for a walk. And I like to listen. It's nice because there's nobody in town, 0 people. It's great. And I like to listen to some podcasts while I'm doing that. So I was listening to Hodge and Fraser's podcast, the R3 Ramble, Record, Repeat podcast. And it's so funny because they started off their show where they're talking about how they were a little disappointed in their previous episode because they were listening back to it and they just felt like it wasn't their best episode. It wasn't bad, but it was pretty good. And I'm like, oh man, I remember those days when you would actually listen to the old podcast and want to improve and be concerned about that. And as I'm listening to us and I'm walking, I'm like, did I even post our podcast? I know we did the YouTube thing, but I don't remember doing like actually putting the audio up. And this was on Saturday. But I wasn't going to do anything about it all weekend because that's my time. I waited until Monday morning when I was at work, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't post it. So,
well, that might explain why nobody's here.
Could be.
For all they know, we're done.
There's one person here apparently, but they're not coming. It might be Sarah. Sometimes she tunes in upstairs. Just keep tabs on me. But they were talking about their hijinks when they were younger and drinking and getting high and stuff like that. And there was some terminology there that I wasn't understanding at all as a complete nebbish who doesn't, I wouldn't know where to get pot or weed or anything like that. I don't like that stuff is just beyond me. Not that I'm against any of it. I'm pro all that stuff, but I was going to ask you if you know any of these terms, because I imagine you growing up in New Jersey, everybody in Jersey just must be around all that stuff all the time and just naturally know what it means.
Naturally.
Yeah. So Hodge was saying that they were going to a party this is when he was much younger. He was going to a party and they were in a car and they hotboxed in the car. Hotboxed.
That's either very inappropriate or is that the thing where you like And
that's
spit in your hands.
that's beatboxing.
That's beatbox.
Yeah,
Hot box.
yeah.
You got
Don't
me.
know. Don't know. I don't know that one either. He didn't explain any of this stuff. He just said
Oh,
they
and
were in the car and they were hotboxing.
did you research any of these, or
No, 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 no,
okay,
no. That would ruin the bit if I actually found out what.
okay? So I can basically say anything I want.
Sure. Yeah. I have no idea what hotboxing. So then he said once they got to the party, the plan was that they were going to do rockets, but they ended up doing buckets instead. They were going to do rockets, but they ended up doing buckets instead.
Oh,
You got no clue either.
when I was a kid, I heard of bottle rockets.
Bottle rockets, yeah.
Yeah,
They were going to do
buckets.
rocket. They were going to do rockets, but then they ended up doing buckets instead.
I'm not sure what that means, but I know this is probably the most middle-aged conversation we could possibly be having. And if our goal is to attract new listeners,
Oh God, no!
we're
Why would
out
we
of
want
luck.
to do that? Well, Hodge, you got to do a better job of explaining this stuff. I know Fraser understands it, but me as a listener, you gotta explain this stuff, man. I did not
We
understand what was going
are
on.
at this part. We are beyond the demographic. We used to be like the tail end of the demographic, but now we are just off the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
Everybody listening to this kind of stuff is much younger than we are.
So, how about you? Did you have any stories of getting in shenanigans like that when you were younger?
I did not get into shenanigans.
You didn't do any drinking or
No,
smoking.
no.
Smoking.
I grew up in a not so nice area where all that stuff was happening, but I somehow avoided it all because I had good role models. My mom brought me up right. I spent a lot of time with my uncle, who, you know, didn't drink, didn't smoke, do any of that. Taught me right and wrong. Taught me, actual skills, not just hanging out on a street corner. So I avoided it all.
Wow. Well, I had good role models too, but I ignored them because they were total squares, dude. They were Squaresville. Hey, look at that. We got game time with Kyle.
Hey, game time with Hug Isle.
Hug.
Hey,
Hola,
Kyle.
gents. Hola, gents. Well, the pot thing that's always eluded me.
Hey, what? Ask Kyle. Ask Kyle those terms right now.
Kyle, do you know
He's a
if you
younger
do know,
guy.
put it in the chat what a hot box is, like for smoking pot. This is smoking weed. And rocket sauce too. Maybe he knows this too. Maybe he's a pot guy. So if you're smoking weed and you're in a car and you're hot boxing, what's a hot box? And then when you get to a party and you decide to do bottle or no, sorry, rockets or buckets. Rockets or buckets.
You phrased that nicely. I was just going to ask him directly. Do you know what a bucket is?
Well, I had to put it in context because I'm pretty sure they know what a bucket is. But in terms of smoking weed or doing drugs or something like that.
Do you put the bucket over your head in order to retain the fumes?
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. But what would a rocket be then? I don't know.
Well, we should ask. It's rocket sauce.
You should know. You should know. Kyle says he's
Sure.
guessing what he says. I'm guessing hotbox is some sort of secondhand high thing. Okay, so you flood the car full of smoke and you get a secondhand high.
That kind of. I'm getting that image. Like you're in a contained environment.
Hotbox. Rocket sauce. I only know of hotboxing when it comes to farting. Yes. Okay.
Bravo.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
I guess Hodge is just way too cool for us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So even like, did you go like when you went away to college or anything like that? You didn't get up to any shenanigans at all. You were just totally.
I didn't know anybody at my university. I went to my classes and I left. I never hung out there. I was there for about 3 or 4 years before I even walked into the cafeteria.
Mm.
It was just I would go to my classes, I would leave.
Yeah, I couldn't get away with that in television because there was too many group projects. You know, you had to like do editing and shooting and all that stuff all in a group. So it was too difficult. Kyle says he admits I very much hate the smell of weed and cigarettes,
Bravo, I'm with you.
and so no one had ever had to worry about me doing that.
Mhm.
I do enjoy a cigar though. I'm not a big. I don't think I've even had a cigarette. I don't think so.
Why would you want to?
But cigars are good. Nice taste. But I can't do it like it's the smoke in the lungs thing. You know, you don't do that with a cigar. You just put it in your mouth and then spit it out. Whereas the cigarettes and the pot, you got to put it in your lungs. And I've always struggled with that step. I can never do that.
I never struggled with it because I have no desire.
Well,
Hey, fun fact about Kyle's past, though. Did you know that he once courted Cyndi Lauper?
no. What do you mean?
Yeah. Watch that the Time After Time video.
Okay.
Pretty sure I see Kyle in that.
That's Kyle in that video?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
At least that's what I always think of.
Interesting. Well, they were talking about. I do have a couple of stories, a couple of weird stories. Nothing on their level. My stuff is pretty tame in comparison.
Did you sneak a cookie from the jar when your mom wasn't looking?
No. So my parents had like these, like, I would always go out on a Friday night. And I'd go over to my buddy Frank's place, and I would hang out with him on a Friday night. And my parents were always like, "Are you going to stay there? Are you staying overnight?" And I never knew like if I was actually going to stay overnight or not. So they would want me to call them at like 11 o'clock or midnight and let them know that I'm staying overnight. So this one night, I went over to my buddy Frank's, and we ended up at another friend's house, and they had beer there. So I had a few beers, and I had a little too much, and we got back to Frank's at like 2 a.m. or something like that, and I was like, I'm not going to call my parents at 2 o'clock in the morning to let them know where I am. Like, this is where I am every weekend on a Friday night. They know where I am. It's fine. And Frank's like, "Are you sure? You sure you don't want to call them?" I'm like, nah, it's 2 a.m. I'm slurring my words a little bit. And then they're gonna be all like on me for drinking. And I'm like, I was like 18 or 19 at this point. I was still like underage for Canada. Like, it's 19. So I was 18. I was still in high school, so I was 18. Hey, Mrs. Q Dog's here. Of course, she hears about drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Drinking stories, and then she comes in.
If you want to hear about rockets and buckets.
Yeah. Check it out. Melissa would probably know what a rocket, a bucket. For smoking weed, Melissa, a hot box, a rocket, and a bucket. Let us know what that is. So, yeah, and Frank was like, I think you really should call him. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. So I pass out on Frank's couch. He goes into his bedroom, goes to sleep. And this was like at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Next thing I know, it's like, between 6 and 7 a.m. And I get this like push on my shoulder. And I look up, and it's my dad looking down at me.
Oh, no.
And he doesn't say anything. He just looks at me, shakes his head, and he leaves, right? And it's funny because Hodge and Fraser were telling these stories about, their early drinking and all that, and their parents, how they would like mess around with them. Hey, I'm going to make you a ton of food or anything like, or run the vacuum cleaner or whatever, just to like, hey, you got a headache kind of thing, and mess around with them. Where me, I went home, and it was like I ruined my mother's life. It was like the end. I was the worst person on the planet because I didn't call. And I'm like, you guys know where I am. I'm nowhere. And it was just hell to pay.
Your mom and dad were the original helicopter parents.
It was weird though. They would be about certain things, but not others. Like they would let me watch whatever I want, or or like they weren't uptight about that stuff. But when it came to, I don't know, doing anything fun. They were really uptight about it. But it wasn't. It
They
wasn't.
just want to know where you are at all times.
But it wasn't like, hey, we're gonna like. It was all just guilt, like it was just like, oh man, I'm like the worst person on the planet.
Well, they probably just saw it as smart strategy. They know that they would have that over your head whenever they needed it.
Yep. 100%.
That's just the ace up the sleeve, and you handed it right to them.
No, what I did was I said, okay, you didn't know where I was. How many places did you call before you went to Frank's? How many places did you go to before you went to Frank's? You only went to one place because you knew exactly where I was.
Well, that was their first lead. That's all they had to go on.
That's where I was.
They could have went looking Friday. Through the gutters.
I didn't leave on Friday and say I could be anywhere. I said I'm going to be at Frank's. But they needed that phone call at 2:00 in the morning. After
you got your first cell phone, did they have you call all the time?
I didn't have it.
Where are you now? Where are you now?
Where are you now? My first cell phone. I was well into my 20s when I got my first cell phone. I was a very late adopter to the cell phone thing.
They didn't keep tabs on you?
No. What? When I was in my 20s? No, they. Yeah. No. Then they finally. Well, they sort of left me alone on some level. So anyway, and then they were talking about drinking and eating food, and I do have one story about coming home. This was when I was in college and I was living in residence, and I went out to the bar and whatever. I didn't do this often, but every once in a while it's like, all right, let's go to this dumb bar and drink and all that. I didn't really have too much to drink or anything like that, but the decisions you make are not always the best. So I got home. And I was really hungry. I needed, my thinking process was I'm going to have some bread to soak up because I drank a lot of beer. So I'm going to have some bread to soak up the beer. So I pull out 2 slices of bread and I put them in the toaster. And I saw in the fridge that there was
For a second there, I thought you were going to say I put them in some beer.
No. I put them in the toaster. And I saw in the fridge that there was some butter. And I thought, some butter would go good on this toast. And I normally wouldn't do that. Like I just put naked peanut butter on there. But I thought, you know what? It'll be like the diner. Because at the diner, they always put butter on the toast if you don't tell them to serve it dry. And then you put the peanut butter on there. It's always a nice combination. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to really treat myself. And I'm going to put a thick layer of butter on there. So I put a thick layer of butter. And then I put a thick layer of peanut butter on there and this is like old peanut, like, the sweet candy peanut butter. It wasn't just peanuts peanut butter. So I put that on there and I ate my toast and I went to bed. In about 15 minutes, I was up in the bathroom puking my guts out. And let me tell you, that butter was a nice lubricant. It just flew right out of me. There was no struggle at all. It just
did you get the residual acid burn, or did the butter just kind of coat it nicely?
No, I got a weak stomach, man. Like when I start puking like that, it's the dry heaves and everything, and that's why I can't do it. Like I can't do the drinking, ever.
Well, you're in luck because the mighty Q is in the house, and maybe he knows what some of these phrases are.
Oh, look at this! We got everybody here today. No meetings this afternoon, so I can listen while I'm at work. Oh, very nice. Well, thank you for joining us, Eric. Eric, we know you're a big pot smoking guy. So we want to know what, in terms of smoking pot, what a hot box is, what a rocket is, and what a bucket is in terms of smoking pot. We asked Melissa, but she claims not to know.
He lives in Portland.
Oh, sauce. That's right.
Where exactly do you work? What kind of business are you running?
So there you go. Those are my drinking and pot smoking stories. And then, there was my bachelor party, but that was a whole other thing. That was not good times. Yeah, that was not good times.
Yet you bring it up.
Yeah, I'm not
going to. Full house. What a full house.
Pot is totally, this is according to Eric, pot is totally legal in Oregon. However, I'm doing this through my work VPN. So on the record, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Smart.
Fair enough. Okay. What else do we want to talk about? I finished up the Chauvin trial like everybody else because it ended. And I just want to say that anyone out there that's going on about it not being a fair trial and this guy getting railroaded over a 9-minute video is insane, because I watched pretty much the whole thing. I found it very interesting, just from and they went out of their way to give this guy his fair trial. He really didn't have a leg to stand on, and that's not a pun or anything like that. He had a horrible case. I mean, at one point, they were trying to blame the exhaust coming out of the patrol car for the reason why George Floyd died. It was pretty embarrassing how terrible their case was. But, he did that. He was just throwing Hail Mary passes. At one point, he was blaming some senator that said something in the media. And they said, oh, this is a mistrial because the senator said something. Like, the judge is like, I really wish senators wouldn't say anything. But, yeah, that's not grounds for mistrial. We're going on. We're heading.
Well, you got a strong case when your argument fails, and then you just completely switch tactics and say, "Oh, wait a minute, no, it's this other thing over there."
That was totally
to blame.
Totally trying to throw some distraction, But that judge was having none of it. He was no Lancito. This guy was taking everything serious. As soon as any sort of shenanigans would start or whatever, he would nip it in the bud right away. He would no, we're not having that here. This is a high profile trial. None of this is going on. There was even one witness who you'd think would be really credible, who she was the firefighter who showed up and wanted to step in and do check his pulse and all that. And she was getting really emotional and argumentative. And then she started arguing with the judge, and they basically just took a break, and you never saw her again. She never came back. He was just if you got what you needed out of her, we're not having her back. So there was no shenanigans at all. It was a really well done trial. I was really impressed. That's all I have to say about that.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
I got to look at the outline now. See what I wrote down.
Well, you wrote "Stay Alive" in games.
Oh yeah. Well, what? Before we do that, because that's not anything too big. What's going on with the Xbox? Is that a new console?
Yeah,
make a new one.
Yeah. So back in November, they came out. There was the PlayStation 5, which you might have heard of.
I believe you.
Okay.
Sounds like a title they would choose.
And then Xbox, in their infinite wisdom, came out with the equally stellar title for their new console called the Xbox Series X.
So this is a new it's not like the updated or slimmed down. It's this is a brand new thing.
It's kind of a gray area. So it's
nobody knows. Everybody's just going to buy it because it's the new thing.
Yeah, pretty much. No, it is the new Xbox. It's brand new Xbox, but it didn't launch with any new games. It just runs the older games better, which sounds really stupid. But
so you just got a higher spec PC.
Yes, and that's why the whole thing speaks to me. Because I already have all these games, and they got the games on the Game Pass, and the machine will just run them better. So I don't have to go buy new games for a new console. I could just play all my old games at 60 frames per second, in 4K.
If the technical bump up means that much to you.
Yeah, totally
what was
does.
The price tag on this thing?
Well, it wasn't cheap. It's
I can imagine.
Well, it is $600 Canadian.
Wow.
And I think it's $500 in the States. But it was all money. It was basically GameCube money. All that money that I sold from the GameCube was burning a hole in my pocket. So I was like, you know what?
Well, that is a chunk of change there. But if, like you said, you had the cash from other game, sales, and you don't have to worry about purchasing a new library for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see it.
And I've been looking to upgrade my PC for a while now. Like, my rig here is basically the same rig that I bought in 2013. The only thing I updated was the graphics card because I wanted to do some 4K gaming. And right now, graphics cards are in the same boat as the new consoles. They're impossible to get because scalpers are picking up all the new graphics cards and selling them on the secondhand market because of this whole Bitcoin thing that's going on. Like, you need a graphics card. They use graphics cards to run programs in order to earn Bitcoins. It's basically to help websites and that run cloud servers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you run something off of a cloud, like it still has to come from somewhere. So people set up these PCs with, big graphics cards on them. So they'll run somebody else's cloud server, and you get paid in Bitcoin for doing it. It's called bit mining. So they're impossible to get. It's been like a year and a half that it's been this way. It got better when Bitcoin was tanking, but then the pandemic happened, and then Bitcoin started to come back. So, anyways, I went with I said, you know what? If I can get an Xbox Series X, I'm going to go for it. And then Sarah actually informed me that Walmart had them online, so I ordered up. So it's coming on Tuesday.
So is this new, or you said this was going on for like a year or so? How old is this console? Oh, the Bitcoin thing.
The Bitcoin thing. Thing.
So this Xbox is like brandy new.
Yeah, like they came out in November.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
The PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And they've been hard to get. They've been impossible to get.
Okay, I was just gonna say. So when you go to the store, the games will say Series X, but you said there are no games. It's just.
Yeah, they'll say Series X, like they're Series X enhanced or something like that. But there is.
How far back can you go with the games? Is this the Xbox One? That was the previous one, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's all the same.
Does it also go back like 360 and original or anything like that?
Original Xbox. Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty cool because you can play all those games. Now, the original Xbox, it's a little blown out of proportion in the back because there's only about 24 games that work on
the popular ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wish there was more. Like, I wish I could put in any of these over here.
Can you play Crimson Skies?
Yes.
Oh, that's worth the $600 investment.
But the 360 games, it's an incredible library. It's hundreds of games that you can play on it. And actually, one of the games I played was Dark Void, which is made by the Crimson
Jetpack game, right?
Yeah, which is made by the Crimson Skies guys. It's kind of like a half third-person shooter, half jetpack guy, and it's got the voice of the Uncharted guy.
I don't know anything about gaming, but I do remember that trailer. I thought, jetpacking around space kind of thing.
No, it's all on.
It's on ground.
Yeah, but you do you're in a ravine or whatever, and you're jetpacking around in that. And it's pretty good. Like it's a little unpolished. There's couple of things that like they could have done a little better, but for the most part, it was a pretty fun game. You can even there was even like this part where you had to go in and shut down these generators, and you fly down up into the generator, and you're fighting guys, and you get to the thing, and you shut it down. Then you got to use your jetpack to get out the top. Felt very Star Warsy in a way.
Well, I was gonna say it's like the Rocketeer sounds like.
Yeah.
What time frame is the game, or is it like a retro futurism, and you're in the 50s or 30s or something?
Yep.
Or
World War II.
Okay.
So it's got like that steampunk, like your jetpack is like this thing that's built by Tesla. And it's like some sort of alternate world that's coming in trying to invade Earth and that, and they're trying to change the outcome of World War II. So the Nazis take over, so you're going in there to make sure it's all good.
Isn't that the premise for freedom fighters?
I think it's a premise for many, many things.
Many things, yeah. I know it's certainly a premise for some Star Trek Voyager episodes.
So we got Deke in the house, And
In the
he's speaking of
house.
weed. Where's the hip reviews, Kev? Deke is the only person that cares about the hip reviews. So every Sunday, Sarah and I have been writing tragically hip reviews. I needed a week off because work had been crazy. There's been a few people that had called in or couldn't come in because they had to go get COVID testing. Some people family members got sick and that. So was working like really weird, dumb shifts, like going in at weird times and coming home at weird times. And it was really stressful. Plus, it's award season at work. All the stupid award shows are crammed into this 1 month. And without getting too crazy, a lot of them are using Zoom, and Zoom has been like my thing that I have to do when I go into work. So it's been really busy. So I needed 1 weekend off. Then last weekend, I sat down and I wrote an entire review on Phantom Power. And I was really happy with it. I thought, this is excellent. This is a good review. And Sarah and I have been like trying not to talk to each other before we post the reviews, because we don't want like too much crossover. Like if we find if we end up talking about the thing, we'll end up saying the same thing, like just repeating ourselves because we're like a hive collective mind or something. So, but I thought as I'm reading, I thought I'd better clear up some stuff with her and make sure that, because a lot of my review was like memories of me playing this album like 20 years ago and everything that I wrote turned out to be 100% wrong. I was like way off on a whole bunch of things and all that. And I had to scrap the whole thing and restart from scratch. And anyways, that's it. That's what's going on. We're 2 weeks behind, but it's all my fault. There you go. So what are people saying here in the chats? No games, classic Xbox. Ha ha ha. Rockets us. Runs them better than the PS4 though. Right. They came out in November. Just saw that Dean got a PS5. Of course, Dean, Mr. PlayStation.
When did the PS5 come out?
Same time, last November, October, November, something like that.
Oh, and it's still like just got a PS5. It's taking that long.
Yeah, they're apparently really tough to get. Like it's the scalpers, right, that go in and rebuy and buy them up quick.
Like, you don't want them when they come out anyway, because that's when all the little problems people got to find out. Like, wait for the second or third run. Well,
everything that I've looked at for this, because it's basically all they really did was take the Xbox One structure and put it over onto this new Xbox. So it seems to run like all the backwards compatible stuff fine. But there are some things, like it's got like this new thing where you can play one game and then you could say, I want to play another game. So you could put that game in pause and go play the other game, and it's like instant. Like you could just jump in between two games, at the same time. Mm-hmm. But because it's new, not every game uses it, and apparently it's a little flaky. If you go to, like, you have no idea which games use the feature and which don't. So if you're in one game that uses the feature and you think, oh, I'll go play that game, and you go to that game, and then when you go back to the other game, you find out that other game didn't have the feature and it doesn't work. So
when they make a new game, what is it titled? Is it made for Series X, Xbox One? Like what?
No, I think what Xbox is doing, I think what Microsoft is doing is it's going to be like a PC. You're just going to continuously upgrade your Xbox. Like whatever, like maybe in 2 years they'll come up with a new Xbox and you can go there and buy it, and your old stuff will still work. All the old Xbox will still work.
So the games are just going to be Xbox games.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where they're headed. But right now, you cannot buy like a Series X exclusive. Like there is none. They all work on the Xbox One.
So you just go to the CompUSA or other big PC store, and it's like, okay, can my system run this game?
Yeah,
and then you just get that.
Pretty much. I think that's what they're doing. That's my theory, anyways. But I mean, I think it's awesome because like I play in like old Xbox 360 games and they're running, really well. It's nice. It's nice to see. Like there was Alice Returns, Alice the Madness Returns. Like I remember that game trying to play it on the Xbox 360, and it was really shaky and all that, and because the frame rate was a thing, I could never get into it. And then I ran it on the Xbox One, and it was running really nice. So I like it. I'm for this thing. I'm for being able to play all my old games. How long have we been talking? 40 minutes.
One of these days, I might actually play a game again.
Well, I tell you, cutting back on these podcasts. This is the first podcast I think I've done in 2 weeks. Oh, since the last time we recorded.
Goodness.
No, we recorded, and then I did Bill's show on the Saturday
for that. The vinyl stuff, yeah.
And that was it. That's all I did. So that actually freed up some time to play some games.
Mrs. Q Dog's going.
She's gotta go. She's gotta
stop talking about drinking and drugs.
She's gotta do adult stuff. Well, thanks for stopping by, Melissa. It's been a while since we've seen you guys. Mm-hmm. I got to get back to the Q Dog house. I've been slacking on that. I haven't watched the Q Dog house in a while. Bad. I've been very bad at it. I see it pop up on the thing, but I used to watch it at work. It used to right during my lunch, but now I can't even have a lunch at work. It's ridiculous.
Hey, I was going to ask you about that. That was a topic I had in my head a week ago. I forgot all about it. When you eat lunch at work, do you go to a lunchroom or do you just eat at your workstation?
Just eat at my workstation.
And you're typically alone in your workstation.
Oh yeah. I don't want to deal with other people. That's the worst.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, when I work shift work too, I'm kind of it's not like an office where you're hey, let's go to lunch and everybody goes to lunch at the same time. There always has to be someone in the room, doing stuff. It's something that has to happen all the time. So nothing is happening in the Q Dog house. I don't believe you, Eric. I know that there's stuff happening over there.
Hot exclusive right here.
I know there's stuff happening over there. Thankfully, the videos are only 5 minutes, so I should be able to catch up. I wanted to ask you actually, because here in Ontario, the whole COVID thing has just been crazy. Mm-hmm. We've had we were good for a long time, keeping her steady for a long time, but then we've been doing this opening and closing and lockdown and unlockdowns and all that. And right now we shot up to 4,000 cases a day. 4,000 a day. It's been really ridiculous how much it's shot up. And they're trying to get the vaccine out, but they're really slow. We actually had our premier, which is equivalent to a governor in the States, breaking down during a press conference yesterday over the terrible job that he has done. He actually, it's I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry how this is just spun out of control. And he declared last week, he sort of declared martial law is a really tough term. Basically what he did was he said that it was okay for the police to stop people and ask them where they're going and what they're doing. And everybody kind of said, that's not really a good idea. This is sort of terrible. So he backtracked on that. And then plus one of his cabinet members caught COVID. So he's in isolation right now. So he did a press conference from isolation. Anyways, it's been a mess here. They have the AstraZeneca. That's the vaccine that they're offering here. So Sarah and they actually lowered the age to 35. So Sarah and I were able to get an appointment now. So we're going on Monday to get our first round of vaccines. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering how it's going over there. What's the vaccine situation? Is it crazy or is it not?
No, it hasn't really kicked in for the most part for the general public. From what I've seen, it's not I saw a lot of reports from the U.S. Of how it was rolling out, and all my family have been able to get the shots now, but it really hasn't kicked up to that level yet.
Your family in the States or your family in Japan?
In the States. About a month ago, I have one student who's a doctor, and he said in the hospital everybody was, getting their rounds of vaccinations then, but it really hasn't trickled to uh, the, the masses yet. But we just got our threat level bumped up to the highest again. It just happened yesterday. Mostly, like we're not getting 4,000 cases a day. Like I, nationwide, I don't think we're getting that. But some areas like Osaka, which is a pretty big prefecture up north from where I am, they're getting out of control now. Where they're like Tokyo, it used to be the highest. Like that's where all the biggest number of cases were, but now Osaka's like racing past them for some reason. And we were down to like single digits where I am, like where we had a stretch for like a week or two where it was like just one or two cases a day, but now it's going back into the double digits. So everyone's just anticipating the next wave. And here in about a week or so, we've got a series of national holidays. They call it Golden Week, where it's like three, four, I think it's like 5 consecutive days off. Um, so everybody's just nervous. People are going to go out and spread more. So it, same as before, it's just riding the next wave.
So it doesn't sound that bad. Like I know there's a hell of a lot more than 14 million people in Japan, and there's out of 14 million people in Ontario, we're getting 4,000, and a majority of it is in southern Ontario because everything's so spread out in the north.
Well, that's why I was going to ask you about your lunch, because the other day I was at work and I was like, there's like a teacher's room you can go eat your lunch, and normally I'm like maybe there's one or two people in there, and we're kind of spread out. We don't eat together, but I was like, I don't want to deal with anybody today, so I could sit there, nobody's gonna talk to me, but you might have to do the obligatory like nod when somebody comes in or something. But I was like, I don't want to deal with any of that. So I just picked up my lunch. I went out to the parking lot and I sat in my car. I was like, this
I've
is
done
great.
that before. Yeah,
This is wonderful. I can take my mask off, kick my shoes off, and just take a nap if I want. So
yeah.
I'm good to just sit in my car. I don't care.
Yeah, I've done that before. It's not so great in the winter here.
No, that was the thing. It was like perfect weather for it,
Yeah.
where I cracked the window and it was just
Nice,
beautiful.
yeah.
Nice breeze coming in. But yeah.
But I've done lunches where I just walk. I'll just go for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
I've done lunches at the library where I'll just go and.
You can eat lunch at the library?
No, I wouldn't eat lunch. I would just spend my lunch there. Like we
Right.
eat in our room, but like we'd still get a lunch. It's kind of weird.
You get time, a little time to refresh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like our shifts are like right now it's 6 to 3, so our lunch would be at like 11 in the morning. Which I'm never ready to eat at 11 in the morning. I wait till noon. So at 11 I'd go out and do a walk or whatever, and then when I come back at noon I'd actually eat my lunch at the console. Yeah. I know. Fascinating stuff.
Well, no, I just like that even though I have to be in classrooms with like a bunch of people, when I'm not in the classroom, like nobody comes to bother me unless there's some like paper I've got to sign or something like that. It's just I like being left alone. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Just nobody checks on me. I don't even have to do my classes. I could probably just get away with say, "Hey, just go, get out of here today," and nobody would say anything.
Nice.
I don't do that, but
yeah,
I could. I did put one game in the outline. It's not a video game.
Stay Alive.
I'm curious. Like, yes. Has anybody ever heard of the board game Stay Alive?
No.
I'm guessing no.
I
go up to this one supermarket and there's a thrift shop next door. And because of the whole COVID thing, I haven't really been dipping in there. But occasionally I just kind of like peek by, see what it looks like. And for the past few months, that place was just jam packed. Like all the stuff that people were bringing there wasn't moving. So it was just cluttering up the entrance, the counter. It was a nightmare. It was like, I can't believe that they would let all that stuff sit there. And you look at the prices, and they're not marking it to sell. It's like this stuff that's going to sit there.
Mm.
And for months, it was disgusting. Like, why would anybody go in this death trap? It's just a fire hazard. And then the other day, I was walking by, and I was like, oh, it's actually clear. It looks like they shipped it off to another store, some outside storage or something, but it was nice and clear. So I walked in real quick and peeked around, and I found this old Milton Bradley board game called Stay Alive, which I had never heard of. But the package looked really retro. It looked like something from the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, I see it here with the
Oh.
two kids on the
It's
cover.
got it's like a plastic square, and then there's little sliders,
Yep.
and there are marbles on top.
Yeah.
And then you take a turn moving a slider, and then it might open up a hole, or it might, close the hole, and then the marbles drop through. And basically, here, Mighty Q Dog. If you mean the marble dropping game, Stay Alive, then yes, we had it as kids. It's still at my parents'. Yeah, that's the one.
There you go.
Awesome. So yeah, I asked them if I could open up. All the pieces were there, so I picked it up, brought it home to my kids. They had fun with it. It's like, yay, nice board
Nice.
game.
Good job, Dad.
Yeah. I always like finding interesting board games. We have a bunch, but then after you play them a couple times, they kind of just sit there.
Yeah.
Like, I need a new board game. But it's the kind of thing that even though they take up space and you lose the pieces, I like having board games. When I was a kid, my cousin, I'd go over to my aunt and uncle's house, and they had a whole closet that was nothing but board games. You open it up, and it's just shelves and shelves of board games. It was
Yeah.
great. I always wanted to have that in my house. So when I see an interesting board game, I'll grab it.
At my grandmother's cottage, the neighbors, the people next door, had a room just full of board games.
Mm-hmm.
And their kids were all, by the time we were kids, their kids were all growing up and gone. And we don't want to play with these board games anymore. So my sister and I would go over there and just play these board games we never even heard of before. It was good times.
That is great. Like board game nights. Those are fun.
Yeah.
And it was like before video games really took over. Like you could just pull a puzzle down, pull a board game down.
Yeah. Unfortunately, now I have nobody to play board games with. We have a bunch, but Sarah hates board games. The only one she likes is Monopoly. She doesn't like learning new rules. So
I had a bunch before I moved here, and I gave them all to my sister because I couldn't bring them with me. I'm pretty sure she tossed them. But I had like Risk and Stratego and all that stuff. Those are fun.
I love Risk. That's my favorite.
It is fun. Do you have the Risk with like the little like cubes and stuff, or did they have the little like people looking ones?
Well, it was I got like 4 different versions of Risk, and I probably played a total of 20 minutes of like combined. Because I love it, and I see different versions of it all the time. And
so
they
had like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I never got those, but I got like the 40th anniversary edition that has like all the like it's pewter pieces.
Oh, nice!
And it's really nice and fancy. Never used it. I got my original one from when I was in college, and I'd play that one all the time. But I got Frank, my buddy Frank, actually got me one that was like from the 1940s. It's a replica of the 1940s, so it's like those square pieces and that. It's not like figures and that. So I have several different versions of it.
You got to learn the rules, and that game takes time. Like that's a several hour investment.
Yeah, for sure.
It was fun, man. You get a really good game going where it's like, back and forth. Everybody's fighting over South America. Who's gonna get it?
And you can't really play with 2 people. You need more than 2. Like you can, like they say, you can build neutral countries. Like we've done it before, where we made neutral countries, but really, it's all about the strategy where you're going to put your things in that. And yeah.
Kyle says Valley of the Pharaohs is a great board game. I've never heard of that.
Me neither.
It sounds cool though.
We should do a board game episode. Talk about our
Yeah.
favorite board games. There you go. That's an idea for the retro
I
nonsense.
think we just did. I like Risk.
there's your idea of retro nonsense. Board games of the 80s. I bet you those guys could talk for hours about that.
Well, there were a couple different kinds of board games. There were the simple, like you play it in 5 minutes kind of thing, like a Hungry Hungry Hippo. Or there was one where you put a penguin on like blocks of ice and you had to like knock out the ice blocks.
Oh, I've seen that one. I've never played it.
Don't break the ice. That's what it was called. Don't break the ice. And you know those kind of like real quick things, or like a Jenga. And then you got the sit down and think, Monopoly and Risk.
Yeah.
Checkers.
Oh, I like to sit down and think. I like those ones.
Kyle's doing a video
on Valley of the Pharaohs.
Valley of the Pharaohs.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go.
We'll watch.
So, you want to talk about some movies and TV before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I like movies.
So, speaking of retro nonsense, I was listening to their latest episode where they were talking about the Mandela effect and how, like, you remember things a certain way. And they were it was basically a bunch of, they opened it up with movies that were misquoted. Their main topic was horror stuff, but they were just talking about that. So their talk about that got me wanting to watch The Cable Guy again, because it's been forever since I've seen it. Mm-hmm. And I remember always really liking it. I always had it up there as one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies. Mm-hmm. But it's been like VHS days since the last time I watched it. Mm-hmm. So it's been sitting there on my PVR since September, because I wasn't sure if Sarah wanted to see it, because I remember she didn't really like it too much. Mm-hmm. I said, "Do you want to watch The Cable Guy?" She's like, "Yeah, let's watch it. Let's do it. Let's watch The Cable Guy." So we sat there, press play, and let me tell you, we had a good time. Mm-hmm. It holds up. It's really good. Really? Enjoyed it for, 2 hours? And it's crazy how many actors they had there from, that went on to have big careers. Like, you got Janine Garofalo, Jack Black, Better Call Saul is in it.
Small there.
Bob Odenkirk, David Cross has a small role in it. It was crazy, all the people that were popping up. But I really liked it. I think that Jim Carrey, he really nailed the humor in that one. It's kind of like, it's not over the top Jim Carrey. It's just, I think he did well. I think it did good, and it holds up. I liked it. I like it. I'm taking it you don't like it. I'm
glad you enjoyed your movie night.
Well,
I may enjoy whatever it is you want to watch.
Have you watched it recently, or?
I watched it within the past year. I watched it for the first time,
and it didn't speak to you.
It didn't. It wasn't one I grew up with, and it wasn't one that grew on me now.
Did you watch the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Medieval times, big satellite dish, all that stuff.
Yeah. Anyways, I had fun with it. And then I watched, because they were also talking about Field of Dreams. So it's been a long time since I've seen that, and that's been sitting in our collection for a long time. So I grabbed that, played that down. I remember really liking that one as a kid. But this time, not so much. I'm a big baseball guy. I like baseball, but the whole spirituality of the movie was kind of just, I don't know, lost on me. It seemed kind of hokey. And, like with everything going on in the world today, like, these guys were, back in the day, they were racist. They wouldn't allow black people to play on the field, and there was no black people that were. I mean, they're in heaven, so I guess their idea of heaven is that there's no black people there. But you got James Earl Jones in the movie. That's kind of like the token black guy in this movie, and I don't know. I wish they would have addressed that a little bit. Like maybe had it that they were open to it now or something. Like they had Satchel Paige playing with them or something like that. Would have been nice, but. I don't know. Other than that, it was kind of hokey. Like there's this one scene where they're talking about this. They go to a parents-teacher or PTA meeting. PTA meeting, and the parents are upset about a book that's being written or that's being taught in the school, and it's by an author. It's a made up book. The author is James Earl Jones, Jones's character. But it's like they're all offended by something in the book. They never go into detail what it is, but they want the book out of the student curriculum. The entire stadium is or audience in the gymnasium is all upset. And Kevin Costner's wife, played by Uncle Buck's girlfriend, is she gets up and she's like, this is ridiculous. You guys want to ban books? We don't want to do that in America. And she starts going on about the Constitution and all this stuff. And she's like, how many people want to like spit on the Constitution or something ridiculous like that? And, everyone's like, oh man, we don't want to do that. And they changed their mind. Like it was like the crowd in The Simpsons, like where Mayor Quimby gets so like, you guys are nothing but a fickle bunch. It was kind of ridiculous. So I don't know. I didn't dig it as much. I had better. It was one of those ones that should stay as warm, fuzzy memories.
I've never seen it. It never seemed like the kind of movie I was like, I want to watch this.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay, but it's not. It just wasn't anything great. Kyle says, I saw Kevin enjoyed View to a Kill. I'm glad I'm not the only one who likes that one. Yes, I did do a review over on buriedinmars.com. You can go check that out. That was posted today. I don't understand the hate that movie gets. I really enjoyed it. You can read all about it.
View to a Kill. What? I don't even know what this movie is.
That's James Bond as Roger Moore's final role, final kick at the can of James Bond. It's not a well-loved movie. I think it's got a percentage of 37 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is really low. But that was my first James Bond movie. It was the first one I saw as a kid, and I don't know if it's rose-colored glasses or what, but I still like that movie.
Well, I still think fondly of my first James Bond movie.
No, you don't. That's
all I got to go on.
Die Another Day. Oh my goodness. I'm not looking forward to getting back to that one.
To date, it's the best James Bond movie I've ever seen.
No bueno. Okay, that's it. That's all I have. Time to sit back and listen to Richard talk.
Speaking of James Bond, I did watch the second Austin Powers movie the other night.
The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Yes, and did you know Heather Graham's in that? Heather Graham's in that movie. Heather Graham. That's all I heard when that movie came out. Heather Graham's in it. To this day, I have no idea who she is outside of that movie. Has she been in another movie?
I think she was in...
Or was she someone that was kind of like getting popular around that time?
Yeah, I think she was...
like...
the porno movie. Dirk Diggler. What's that one called? Hot Pocket? I don't know what's
in the Hot Pocket movie.
I can't remember the name of the movie.
Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. That's it. Yeah, there you go. Boogie Nights.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, you know how Hollywood is. They get like the new starlet, and it's like, okay, that's the one we're going to push for a while, and then they pushed her for a while, and then they realized that she couldn't really act that well.
Thank you. Because I was going to say, I was watching the Austin Powers, and back in the day, I never saw the original, and then when the second one came out, like all the Austin Power hype fans were around me, and like everyone was doing the quotes and constantly talking about it, and the merchandise was everywhere, and it just felt like, I don't know what this is. Everyone's going nuts about it. And then I finally watched it, and I was like, it's all right. And I didn't really get into it.
That would ruin it for you.
Years later, I sat down, like after all the hype died down, all that is gone, and I watched it. I was like, you know what? It's a pretty funny movie. I don't need to, constantly talk about it or wear Austin Power t-shirts or have little keychains that make sound effects and stuff. And so if you just sit down and watch it, I was like, it was fun. And I liked this one more, this viewing than the last time I watched it. I think
I could totally
it's a
see
pretty good movie. I do remember the third one being not so good. I don't remember exactly why. It could just be, the popularity was fading, people were getting tired of it, or it just wasn't as good.
I got to disagree. I saw the third one twice in the theater. I enjoyed it that much. I saw it once in Barrie, and when I went up to visit my parents in Sudbury, I said, we got to go see that, because he was doing Peter Sellers level of comedy that I knew my parents would really appreciate. We all had a good time.
It's been a long time since I've seen the third one, so I might enjoy that one more now. One thing I do remember liking is the intro with
Bye, Sauce.
Later Sauce with Tom Cruise and Danny DeVito and
Yeah.
Spielberg.
Yeah.
That was great. But no, I think the Austin Powers film, the second one especially, is a really good film. Like I watched that, and I watched Child's Play 2, which I might have seen for the first time. But anytime one of these Chucky movies shows up, I'm going to watch it. And it's still, I'm still got like a constant thing where it's enjoyable. You know, it's not a great movie. It's not cinema gold, but it's enjoyable. And those two movies in particular are great examples of, if you don't have something important to say and you're just looking to have some fun, as long as you keep it simple and you keep it moving, you got a good solid movie. That's all you need. And I compare it to some of the like other movies I've seen recently, especially like more modern things. I know I'm going to get flack for this. I tried watching that the newest Men in Black movie.
Oh,
Men in
God.
Black International.
Who's going to give you flack for that?
for attempting to watch it is what I mean.
Oh, I see.
But I had to shut that off after like 20 minutes. It was just so bad. I was like,
That's
how
surprising.
You had these movies like in the 80s and the 90s, they make them for like $10 million, and they're so entertaining, and you sit there and you have a good time, and then they throw all this money at these new things. And just,
is that the one
they
with
can't get a scene together?
What's the new Man in Black? It's not Will Smith, right? It's somebody else that's in it.
It's Thor.
Thor, right?
I don't know who the main character is, because they bounce between two different characters, and you've got like 2 or 3 scenes of Thor, and like they're all introductory scenes. You still don't know what his story is, because they just keep showing random scenes of him, and it doesn't tie together. It's like, this is not clear. Child's Play. This is Chucky. He's a killer doll. He's going to get the kid from the first movie. Like, everything is totally clear. And just like it moves at a nice pace. I understand what's going on. No problems.
I thought the first Men in Black movie was fun. I thought that one was pretty good.
I like the first one. The first one is an okay movie. Despite Will Smith being Will Smith and playing to the camera constantly.
Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio is great in that movie.
Yep.
Tommy Lee Jones is really entertaining.
Yep.
A lot of fun of practical effects and stuff. The Austin Powers too. A lot of great effects. Those things hold up because they did a lot of practical stuff. Very little CG. Movie looks good. It looks really good. And Mike Myers knew how to handle certain situations. Like they get around like the product placement and the Wayne's World thing with the product placement. And there's a bit in the Austin Powers movie where they're supposed to be in London and they're driving around, and he just looks at the camera and says, "It's amazing how London looks absolutely nothing like Southern California." It's like, there you go. Just draw attention to it, make fun of yourself, and you're done. Just don't think about it. Keep going.
Yeah, and like if you actually start watching some of the Bond movies, you're gonna catch a lot of the references that he makes.
I imagine so, yeah. But the one thing I did take away, the one like dip in that movie, is Heather Graham is such a bad actress. Like she's not a comedic actress, which I get, because in the first movie, who was the actress in the first movie?
Elizabeth Hurley.
Elizabeth Hurley. Not really a comedic actress either, but she's supposed to be playing like the straight role.
Yeah.
But she seemed to be having fun with it. Heather Graham seemed a little lost, like she didn't know how to approach it.
She was punching above her weight.
She just coasts, she doesn't get into the humor, but she also doesn't have a stature of being like the straight character. So it just
Fun fact: Sarah and I put a little figure of Austin Powers and Felicity Shagwell on top of our wedding cake.
Really?
Just for something fun, because it was both of our parents like were just so like they were just sticking the muds about so many things, and we were like, we're gonna do something fun, so we snuck and put them on top there. So when the cake rolled out, there was Austin Powers.
Oh, I hope you got a picture. You should post that.
Oh, here's the thing with the photos. Okay, like it's all ancient stuff, right? It's all on the like I gotta hold up the photo to the camera
Like
and
you
show
got a
you.
photo.
I don't have like all the digital stuff, so you know.
No worries.
Not
I
because
think I
we're
can
old.
picture it.
We were just behind the times. That's our story, and that's what we're sticking to.
Gotcha. I also rewatched the Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg movies, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. I have seen the other one at World's End 2 times already. So now I've seen all those movies 2 times.
Still haven't seen that one. I need to watch
good.
it. I know.
It's good.
I
You
hear.
know it's good.
And the other, what's the one with the alien? I haven't seen that one. Is it
the
Paul?
I haven't seen that one either.
I think I have it on Blu-ray. I just haven't got around to watching it.
Well, Shaun of the Dead, I haven't watched since we did it on the show years ago, and I watched it, and as much as I liked it then, I consider it a perfect movie now. That movie is so tight. The script is so well constructed. The humor is spot on. The amount of attention that they give to the background stuff, and then constantly cutting away from that is like you think you're seeing zombie stuff. Oh, we'll get back to the main story. Brilliant.
Isn't it great when like a movie's stuck in your head like that, and you're worried? Like when I watch it again, is it going to feel that good? And it does. It lives up to that.
It's when it's better, when you appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's, and again, cheaply made movie in terms of movies, fairly small budget, but what you can do with a good script and some clever camera angles and some fun ideas, it's great. Hot Fuzz, I remember being a little bit more of a step down,
little dip,
but watch it again, and there's so much cleverness in the script again, and the ideas and the callbacks. They set things up and it comes back later in the movie. It's a great movie, but I always like movies, Kyle, in this episode.
That's a challenge. I can find 3 movies.
I like good movies. Hot Fuzz, a little bit of a dip for a couple of reasons, but still a really good movie. Just when you compare it to other stuff. And that third one, World's End, that one I liked more than Hot Fuzz. I imagine I still do. I mean, they're all really, you think about it, they're 3 versions of the same movie. I guess Hot Fuzz is the one that stands out because his character doesn't really have the internal conflict that he does in the other movies. He's just kind of trying to figure things out, and the movie runs a bit long. Like you kind of like.
That's what I found. Yeah,
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like I get it. There's some weird stuff going on. Just kind of get along with it. One other fun point about At World's End, The World's End, I think it's called. Pierce Brosnan is in it, as is the actress that I mentioned last time, who is in Die Another Day. So a kind of little James Bond reunion in that movie.
Who was she playing? Moneypenny? Was she the
No. She played the evil girl that Halle Berry fights.
Oh, man, it's been a long time.
Yeah, well,
since I've seen it.
They were in the James Bond movie together. They're in the Simon Pegg movie together.
All right.
But those are really good movies. So, like I said, it kind of does the same thing. The Child's Play and the Austin Powers. You don't have a lot to say, but you keep it simple, keep it moving. Then you kind of step up to the Simon Pegg, Edgar Wright level of like, hey, we don't have much to say, but we're really smart. We're really crafting this, tightly and everything. And ooh, that's an even better movie. And then I watched The Predator. Oh boy, we're
falling off a cliff here now.
I jumped off that cliff.
I can't stand that movie.
Did you see it?
I tried to watch it.
Yeah. I
I
get
don't
that.
think I got very far in it. And Sarah is a huge Predator fan. Like she
Mhm.
loves that movie. She wants to watch it all the time. I have to tell her to slow down. Like we're not watching that again. Okay, like we got to give it a month.
Mhm.
And we put that The Predator on, and it was no way we were gonna watch. Like it's just I can't even remember it. I just remember putting it on for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. This is so
Hmm.
stupid.
The I want to believe that what Shane Black was going for was to make a a black comedy Predator. The only problem is that the movie is not funny in any way. All the
Mm.
attempts at humor are really obnoxious, and the main character is just generic action guy. He's got the 5 o'clock shadow, looks all tough, and he's not a good father, and he's not a good husband, but he's a military man. He's not interesting at all. And apparently, that movie had a whole bunch of issues. There was like some guy who was Shane Black's friend, who was like a sex offender, registered sex offender or
Oh
something.
yeah, I remember
And
that.
they like cut his scene out of the movie, so
Right,
it's
right.
like there's like a little bizarre moment where it's like it just feels like there's an empty scene, like a scene missing or something. And then they reshot the ending. Like they tested it, it didn't work well, so they just completely redid it.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a mess, but it's only partially a mess by design. It's partially a mess because of studio interference at the end, saying change this, cut this out, and all that. Um, yeah, I
Did you
think I
watch the whole
think
thing?
I watched the whole thing. I
Wow.
was kind of like doing other stuff at after a while because it was just not great, but I kept peeking at it. And I would have liked to see the original ending, which involved the heroes in a tank with good predators fighting the bad predators, which is not what
Good
happens in the movie.
Predators.
They
Yeah.
apparently there's some predators hanging out at Area 51, and then they team up with the good guys and they're fighting the bad predators. The only reason I think it might have worked as a black comedy is because you go back to the original Predator, it's a mystery. What's going on? What is this thing? We can't see it. Predator 2, okay, we kind of know what the Predator is, but different environment, slightly different characters. Okay. Fast forward to everything that's come afterwards. Everybody knows what the Predator is. He's too iconic. There's
Yeah.
no mystery. There's no what
Exactly.
is it. So what else can you do with it other than just try something different?
Like
And so,
what made that movie to me, what makes it brilliant is that it starts off as like an action film, like the original
yep.
Predator. It's
Mhm.
like this, you know, over the top action. You got explosions and people like, flying in slow mo and all that. And you think that's the direction of this movie. The monster's going to show up and it's just going to be continual action. But then it shifts gears into that monster movie, and you
Mhm.
have no idea like what the hell the thing could do or anything. And Shane Black. Here we go. Shane Black should have did what he did in Iron Man 3 and just have the Predator be an actor playing the Predator. That would have been funny. Oh, and supper's going to be ready in 10 minutes. So we
10
got to
minutes.
wrap
Oh,
this up in
I
10.
thought she was saying that's how long you lasted in the
Oh,
movie.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. They just got to stop. They got to like come up with
Yeah.
your own ideas. Come up
Mhm.
with your own ideas already. Like we're in this thing right now where everything old is new again, or it's taken from comic books or whatever. And some of it's great. I'm not going to complain about all of it. Some of it is great. But, growing up in the 80s, like you just think of all the original IPs that were sure derived of stuff that came before it, but it was still all like new and interesting stuff. Like you had, Back to the Future and Indiana Jones and Ghostbusters and Star Wars, and of course you had some stuff like Star Trek might have been the only old TV show that they brought back that was in the theaters at the time, but that was it. And the rest was all new stuff.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness. I don't even want to talk about it, Steven. I don't even
Have
I
you
can't.
touched on the baby Stay
Have you
Puffs? Yeah,
have you seen it?
Well, I have been avoiding everything. I still haven't watched the trailer for that movie, and I was like,
This is the new
I want to see
Ghostbusters.
it. Yeah, the new Ghostbusters, and I just figured I'm going to avoid everything because I want to go see it, and I don't want it to be, I don't want to have pre concepts and things like going in my head. And this was like unavoidable. Like
Yeah,
the day that announced is like it was everywhere,
yeah,
and I'm not looking for it. It's just pushed in front of my face. So
yeah. Me too.
they got some kind of mini Stay Puft marshmallow thing.
Yeah, like I thought at first, like it was something that popped up in my feed, and at first I thought it was a commercial for something like
Ah,
marshmallows.
yeah, a little
Like, so that's what
tie-in.
it looked like to me, like little scrub bubbles in the bathtub or something like that. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, they got Paul Rudd in this commercial. No, this is a scene from the actual movie. And I was, what can I say? I mean, I don't want to say I hate it because I don't really understand the context of it.
Yeah,
But I just see stuff like that, and it's like,
on initial sight, I want to say it looks stupid, and why do that? But I don't know. You got to see the whole movie.
it's because I'm being pandered to. They know I love the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yes,
That's one of my favorite scenes. It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It comes walking around the corner. Yeah, it's like it's burned in my memory, and like that stuff is just is there any substance to it? No, we're just going to show you this thing because we know you love it and it'll get your ass in the seat in the theater.
Now, do you think that was initially like, hey, we got this great idea? Because the first thing I thought of was the marshmallow minis from the game. I was like, oh, a smaller version of Stay Puft. Although that was, a completely differently designed thing, didn't have the little Stay Puft face on it. So people who aren't paying attention wouldn't recognize that it's from the same creature. Then I started thinking, does this have anything to do with that baby Yoda? Or are they just kind of like doing like cutesy things?
Okay, this movie, you have to remember this movie was made like a couple of years ago now, right? So I don't know if Baby Yoda, which came first, Baby Stay Puft or Baby Yoda.
They could have done some like retroactive. Hey, that Yoda, they're selling a lot of merchandise.
Yeah, you could be right.
A lot of attention.
This could have been
baby.
This could have been, yeah, like, oh, we got to add some Baby Stay Puft in there, and then
just have a scene.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. I don't want to be negative about it, but I just see that stuff and I just feel like I'm being pandered to because I know I am.
Feel like, and I'm pretty sure then like another retro thing that comes out, you're gonna see another like baby character. If this works, then you're like, yeah, let's get more baby.
Yeah, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like the '90s when Muppet Babies was the thing, and then you had Baby Flintstones and Baby Scooby Doo, and everything became baby all of a sudden. Well, Rudd finally did. Look, I don't believe Bill's thing. Rudd has had some duds. He's had some duds. You just don't think of them. He was on a hot streak for a long time, but Rudd had some duds.
Tiny Toons. The weird thing though, Muppet Babies and Tiny Toons, they were both good shows.
Oh, I'm not saying it was bad.
Because it was more than the gimmick. They actually had stories and characters and stuff, and it worked, and it was entertaining.
Right.
Yeah. New Gremlins commercial. Oh, right. There was a Gremlins commercial with Zach Galligan. Is that his name?
What do you mean a new Gremlins commercial?
It was like I want to say Mountain Dew, like a Mountain Dew commercial, like a month or so back. Okay. Like it's him and Gizmo sitting around, and then I think his daughter like walks into the room. I think it was kind of one of those, hey, anybody interested in Gremlins? Maybe we can do something with this. And if people react to it enough, then they might green light another project, get that reboot going.
I hope not. Then you got Baby Gremlins.
You don't like Gremlins as it is. So.
I like Gremlins too.
No, you don't. I had you watch that, and you said you didn't like it.
I like it.
What do you mean you like it? Since when?
I like it.
We did it on the show, and you said you didn't like it.
I like it a lot. What are you talking about?
It's good. Trying to stem that hate mail. Huh?
It's good. No, I have it. I bought it. I ended up buying it on Blu-ray. because it's one of those things where I first watched it and it caught me all off guard. I'm like, what is this thing? Like, this is crazy. This is stupid.
That's exactly what I thought. The Predator. That's what I thought he was trying to do, like a Gremlins 2 kind of thing, where what else are you going to do with this idea? Just make fun of it. But I'm wondering if because of all the studio interference and they didn't like the direction he was going in, it got changed. Plus, again, it just wasn't funny. You know, the parts that are in there with Keegan Michael Key trying to make bad jokes. It's just, it's so bad. Anyway, all right. I'm glad you like Gremlins 2 now.
Yes.
Maybe someday you'll like Starship Troopers.
No. I do like parts of Starship Troopers. I like all the commercials. Those were all good. But some of it was just kind of maybe if I watch it again. But I caught some of Gremlins 2 again, and I'm like, you know what? I get what they was doing with it. It caught me off guard. I didn't know what the hell was going on. It was craziness. It was silliness. But I like 2.
2 was good. Yeah, I just got a copy of the Gremlins right here.
Yeah, that one I wouldn't get.
I got that one. And you're gonna love this. Look what else I got. I got Justice League on Blu-ray. Yeah.
Why?
Because they were having a sale. I was like, all right, why not?
That's not right. That is not right. Why is everyone upset at me now? When I say I like something, they're happy, and when I say I don't like something, they're mad. Is that what's going on?
I'm just shocked because
that's funny.
Your argument has gone like.
I only like the Blu-ray version. That's funny. There is some movies though where I only do like the Blu-ray version of it because it's different. They change the ending or whatever. So there you go.
Crazy.
Yes. No, Aliens versus Predator. The second one is better than the first one.
No, it's good.
Second one is like just a straight up slasher movie.
Alien versus Predator is a fun time.
No, it's
dumb. It's stupid, but
there's nothing fun about that. Okay. I hear things beeping upstairs, so I think that means I gotta wrap this up. Follow the podcast that is better consistent than STC Pod on Twitter. We're at _Retro Fandango. Get a boner with Retro Fandango. That soundboard's gonna come back at some point. I thought I had it licked, but it turns out I didn't. I thought I could take the soundboard and mix it in with the microphone, but it turns out that it can't. It can't do both at the same time. So
we need to hire somebody to just read soundboard clips. So whenever we want one of those, you just kind of like
there you go.
The queue.
Yeah, there you go. Well, yeah, no,
Cocoon.
No, we could just put like have them call in, whatever, and they don't have to have their mic on. Just have the soundboard going, and they could just press the soundboard. We need a Fred. We need a Freddy to do the sound effects. All right,
start making that big money.
And check us out on Discord. I think Discord has devolved into just a conversation between myself and Duke, but whatever, it's there. If you want to join in, go for it. It's there.
Kyle wants to know where I am with the Marvel movies. I'm still in the same spot, Kyle. I did rewatch Shazam, though. And I like Shazam a little bit more than I did the first time.
There might be hope for you yet, Mr. Vox.
Well, I mostly had issues with a couple little details, and those really haven't changed, but I've just kind of like, okay, I can take the stuff that I enjoy, and then the couple little points that I had issues with, it is what it is.
I mean, at some point you're gonna have to they're not gonna do the movie again. They're not gonna reshoot.
No, I understand that. It's just a little frustrating that that didn't match up to that. So it's like it's okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'd recommend everybody watch Shazam. It's a fun movie. It's just it could have been a great movie.
I think it's great, despite its flaws.
I think it's good.
I think it's great.
I think some of the parts in there are great. Other parts are just good. See,
okay.
we're doing the Twitter thing.
This is Twitter?
I like the thing, you like the thing, but we got to argue over the little details.
Those are actually the worst arguments when two people like something, just they don't like it in the same way, and then they just fight over. And it's like you both like it. Shut up.
Remember when the internet was like, "Hey, I like this thing. Oh, now I can meet somebody else who likes this thing, and we can talk about that thing, and hey,
You
friendship
can't.
is born." Now it's, "I like this thing. I like this thing. How do we fight over it?"
That is what social media is. It's all about
Yeah.
keeping you engaged. And how do you stay engaged? You argue with people. You get
Mhm.
worked up and fight. That's why you come here for a podcast. We don't.
To be fair, Stephen, to be fair, that's your whole show at this point.
Kyle, I'll have movie codes exclusive for Fandango Discord tonight. Well, his codes don't work
Whoa.
for me, so
Or for me, but if you're an American,
yeah, get it on there. Get some movie
thank you,
codes. He
Kyle.
had
Kyle
Ghostbusters.
is being generous. So
Yeah, very nice. I hoard all those. Every time I open up the Blu-ray and there's a code, I put it in my Google Play. What am I going to do? Give them away? I suppose I could. Yeah. All right. That's it. I think we're done.
we are done.
Did an hour and a half. That's enough.
That's pretty good.
We did. I listened to the last SDC pod, and I gotta say, I don't want to toot my own horn, but this episode was so much better than that. So that's the bar right there. As long as we just do better than STC pod, we don't have to do a great show. We don't even have to do a good show. It's better than STC pod. I think we did it.
Low
All right.
bar.
The codes only work if you're vaccinated. Oh boy. I'll be vaccinated on Monday. First round.
Steven is caffeinated and ready to go right now.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. I gotta go eat. Goodbye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye.
Hit end.